Hi everyone, welcome to the Ministry of Guitar. This is going to be your simple, easy, one-place guide for PRS guitars. Whether you're a beginner, whether you have a casual interest in PRS guitars, this should work for you. The simple way to think about it is there is the core, which is the premium range made in USA. There is the S2 and the bolt-on. That's going to be the standard range also made in the USA. There is the SE, which is the economical, affordable range made overseas, sometimes in Indonesia, sometimes in China. And then finally, we have private stock, which is a super premium luxury range. Each of these ranges will get a video. This is video number 1 on the core range. The core made in USA range is the premium lineup. This is also the models that PRS is most famous for. And amongst them, the most famous model from which everything else begins is this model. This is the Custom 24. What is it? It's a modern guitar designed to play almost any kind of music. It's a versatile guitar. What defines it is the double cut PRS shape, the 24 frets, which gives it the name Custom 24, the tremolo, which gives you the ability to vary the notes, and some standard wood choices. So this is the starting point for all PRS guitars. Who is the Custom 24 for? It is for basically a person looking for a premium guitar that can cover a lot of ground, albeit with a little bit of a modern twist because of 24 frets. So one difference that you will see is 24 fret guitars are considered more modern, 22 fret guitars are considered less modern. The Custom 24 comes with 3 additional variations. There is the Custom 2408, there is the Custom 24 Piezo, and the Custom 24 Floyd. Custom 2408. This is similar to the Custom 24, which means it has the same 24 frets, modern body, 2 humbucker design, but it has a different switching system. In a Custom 24, you typically get 5 sounds by going through a switch. In the Custom 2408, you get 8 sounds because of the difference in the way these pickups are split up. But the way to think about it is that you get a little bit more range with a little bit less accessibility because you need to split coils. It's really a matter of personal preference. Then there is the Custom 24 Piezo. Custom 24 Piezo is what exactly the guitar I'm holding over here. This is essentially a Custom 24 with an additional system which helps it mimic the sound of an acoustic guitar. So you have the standard Custom 24 electronics, plus you have this little switch which helps you toggle a piezo system, which helps you get the sound of an acoustic guitar. So this is even more versatile than a regular Custom 24. So think about the person who needs one guitar to cover everything. The Custom 24 Piezo does that. The last variant of the Custom 24 is the Custom 24 Floyd. It is very similar to a Custom 24, but the difference is that it has a Floyd Rose tremolo system. A Floyd Rose is a very specific tremolo system. It originated in the 80s. It's the most variable tremolo system. You can get all sorts of crazy sounds. It's for people who like that kind of system and are seeking that kind of a sound. This guitar is a little bit more oriented for the more metal, the harder rock kind of player. That's where the Custom 24 Floyd comes in, and the electronics, the choice of pickups reflects that. So those are the variations of the Custom 24, which is this body shape. What happens then is you take the same body shape as the Custom 24 and you make it slightly thicker. Custom 24 has a certain thickness, you make it slightly thicker. And then you reduce the number of frets from 24 to 22. That makes it a much more traditional guitar. You get a few variations: McCarty 594, and DGT. Let's jump into each of them. So the McCarty, as I mentioned, 22 frets, thicker body. It's a much more traditional guitar. The electronics also reflect that because the pickups on it are a little bit more traditional, a little bit lower output. So you can imagine playing older rock, blues on a McCarty guitar. Other difference of McCarty with Custom 24, as you may notice, is the bridge. The McCarty has a fixed bridge. It does not have a tremolo. That is again a more traditional choice. Then you may get confused, what is the difference between a McCarty and a McCarty 594? The McCarty 594 is similar to the McCarty, but with 2 key differences. This is where we get into a concept of scale length, which is the distance between the nut of the guitar, which is here, and the end of the strings, which is here. That scale length is 25 inches for PRS. It puts PRS in between Gibson and Fender, which makes it again a very versatile choice. The McCarty has the same scale length as the Custom 24. That scale length is shorter on a McCarty 594. Instead of 25 inches, it is 24.594. That's a critical difference because it gives it a sweeter, a more Gibson Les Paul-like sound. The other difference is the bridge. It has a 2-piece bridge instead of a McCarty's 1-piece bridge. It gives it a Gibson-like flavor. Another difference between the McCarty and McCarty 594 is the electronics. The McCarty has a 3-way switch with master volume and tone. A McCarty 594 has a 3-way switch with individual volumes and tones for each pickup. The reason the 594 has that is similar to what you get on Gibson guitars. Do you prefer a McCarty or McCarty 594? It depends on whether you prefer traditional with a PRS flavor or traditional with a Gibson flavor. With the McCarty 594, you can go even more of a Gibson flavor, which is where this guitar comes in. So, though this is a different shape, this is also called a McCarty 594. This is a single cut model, which means it's shaped like a Gibson Les Paul. This is called a single cut shape. So, it is identical to everything I mentioned about McCarty 594, except for the shape. The shape has a single cut and it's a slightly thicker body. Do you prefer the single cut or the double cut? Matter of choice. This is a good segue into another model, another body shape made by PRS, which is the hollow body shape. So you can get the McCarty 594 hollow body shape as well. So the hollow body shape is essentially similar double cut, but it's thicker. It's a hollow, it's not a solid guitar, unlike the other guitars. Front and back, it has holes in it, F-holes in it. This is the hollow body shape. You can get a McCarty 594 hollow body, which is identical to everything I told you about a McCarty 594, except for the hollow body shape. And then you can get what's called a Hollowbody II, which is what I'm holding over here. The shape of the Hollowbody II and the McCarty 594 are similar. The differences of the Hollowbody II are, remember the scale length that I told you about? 24.594 for McCarty 594 is 25, custom 24 scale length on the Hollowbody. You can get the option of a piezo on a Hollowbody II. Remember the custom 24 piezo that I told you about, where you can get the sounds of an acoustic guitar? You can get that. Also, the electronics are slightly different because you get a different layout. McCarty 594 follows a Gibson layout. This follows a more of a McCarty layout, which is less knobs, just a simple volume and tone. Now that we're done with the variations of the 594, this is a good time to get back to the traditional double cut shape and talk through some unusual models, what PRS calls the speciality models. They all share this double cut shape, but with a thicker body. So remember custom 24, but with a thicker body like a McCarty. The variations in these guitars is basically the electronics layouts. So there are 4 guitars here: the Special Semi-Hollow, the Studio, the Modern Eagle 5, and the 509. Let's go through each of them. The Special Semi-Hollow has one additional variation. It also is a semi-hollow body based on the same McCarty shape. This has what's called the humbucker, single coil humbucker layout, which gives it more tone options. It's more similar to what John Mayer plays. So if you're a fan of that, this could be a model that you could consider. The Studio has something different. It has PRS proprietary narrow field pickups. So it has 2 narrow field pickups and a humbucker, a different range of sounds, but similar McCarty body. But think of it as a McCarty body, but with a custom custom 24 style tremolo. So you get the traditional, yet you get a little bit of modernness. It's an interesting blend. The Modern Eagle 5 is the most versatile instrument. It has PRS proprietary Paul's guitar pickups, which are thinner pickups, which give you a little bit more of a Fender-like sound versus the Gibson-like sound of the usual pickups of PRS. But that has 17 different sounds. So the Modern Eagle 5 is really for you if you want one guitar that can do everything, but with a bit more detail. The Custom 24 can do everything, but think of the Custom 24 as a guitar that has all the colors, and the Modern Eagle 5 as the guitar that has all the colors plus variations of each color, so that you can really get exactly what you want. So the 509 is an unusual, it's a little bit of an odd fish in here. It's similar to the McCarty or the Studio, same body, but it has a longer scale length. Remember the distance. It has very specialist pickups, which gives you a lot of 8 variations, 9 variations, 5 small pickups, 9 sounds. And it gives you a very different feel because of having a slightly different neck joint. It's a very specific thing. This would not be the guitar I recommend as your first PRS guitar. But if that's the sound you're going for, the 509 is a great guitar. We now get into the signature guitars, and there are quite a few of them. We'll begin with the Paul's guitar. The Paul's guitar is a signature model of PRS's founder, Paul Reed Smith himself. It is very similar to the McCarty that I told you about. There are 2 differences. Difference number 1 is the pickups. These are narrower, proprietary Paul's guitar pickups. These are thinner than regular humbuckers. Like this is a regular humbucker. Paul's guitar humbucker will be smaller. It also has a proprietary electronic system, whereas you can get very similar sounds whether you have one pickup on or half a pickup on. And you have a switching system, which is called the 408 switching system. If you remember, we talked about the Custom 24 and the difference between Custom 24 and 2408. That 408 switching system is what's there on the Paul's guitar. The Paul's guitar is for, again, people who are looking for a very specific sound, which is not exactly like a humbucker guitar, like a Gibson, not exactly like a Fender, but something in between with a lot of clarity. That's what the Paul's guitar is for. Other signature guitars, there are a few of them. The most famous one is the DGT. The DGT is similar to the guitar we saw earlier, the McCarty. It is essentially a McCarty model with a tremolo as well as a special pickup system. DGT stands for David Grissom Tremolo. David Grissom is the artist whose signature model this is. Strength of the DGT is that it can do a lot of vintage sounds, a Fender sound, a Telecaster sound, a Les Paul sound in one guitar with the versatility of a tremolo. So though it's based on the McCarty, it's a tremolo version of the McCarty, it is its own animal and very popular. The Tremonti is a model that is based on the single cut shape that we saw earlier with the McCarty 594. It's similar to a McCarty 594, but there are differences. The similarity is the shape. The difference is the Tremonti is a lot more modern guitar. It's a lot more made for heavier music. It comes with a tremolo. It comes with higher output pickups that suit that heavier music. And it comes with a slightly different knob layout versus the 594. Though it has individual volume and tone for each pickup, similar to the 594, the layout is different. The Santana is a totally different guitar. In a way, it spells the origin of PRS because that was one of the first guitars that PRS made. It's essentially a traditional guitar which is with 24 frets. So it is like the Custom 24 in the sense that it has 24 frets. It is like the McCarty 594 in the sense the scale length is small. It is basically 24.5 inches, slightly smaller than McCarty 594. It is a different body shape altogether. That body shape is called the Santana, and it comes with a tremolo. So it's a very unique flavor. If you're a Santana fan, that's probably the person that it's for. Then there are variations on chord which can happen across all of these models. So essentially what you have is you have core, you have 10 top, you have Woodlibrary. Core is the regular PRS core guitar, all the models I took you through. So most PRS core guitars will come with basically the maple top, mahogany body, rosewood fretboard. This is standard. The quality of the top will be very nice, but there'll be differences as you go to 10 top and to Woodlibrary. So think of this as a core standard model. This is where you get started. Then you have 10 top. What the 10 top is basically it's like a core but with a better top, hence a 10 top. The top 10% of tops at any point in time are classified as 10 top. The other difference that you get in 10 top is you get hybrid hardware. So versus only plain nickel hardware, which you would see on a regular core, you get hybrid, which is a mixture of nickel and gold, both for the bridge as well as for the tuners, if you can tell the difference over here. So that's the difference. Then when you move to Woodlibrary, that's where things get interesting. Woodlibrary is essentially the option for dealers to create 10-piece limited runs with options that they can take even from higher end guitars like the private stock. Private stock, quick primer, custom shopper PRS, super expensive, super exclusive guitars using the best materials made. One-off, all of them are made one-off, but with Woodlibrary you can get some ingredients of private stock into the core and dealers can make a run of 10 pieces. Usually these guitars will be 10 to 20 to 30% more expensive than core, but they will be much less cheaper than a private stock, which would cost 2 or 3 times as much as a core. I'm going to show you the example of a Woodlibrary run with this particular guitar. This is the Woodlibrary McCarty 594. What makes it Woodlibrary? Certain options. It has an ebony fretboard instead of a rosewood fretboard. It has a special material for the birds. I'm forgetting what the material is called right now. It has a flame maple neck instead of a mahogany neck. Look at how spectacular this is. And if you compare it versus a regular mahogany neck, I think you can tell the difference. And the top itself is a Woodlibrary grade, which is better than a not private stock. This is better than a 10 top. This is a Woodlibrary grade. Could be private stock grade, could be something in between. Now, not every Woodlibrary will be like this. There are different variations. So sometimes you'll see Woodlibraries with a special neck word, special body word. Each one is different. If you have something specific in mind, probably you'll need to get a private stock, but sometimes you'll find a Woodlibrary run that can get you everything you need. Okay, so I hope this was a good primer. In the next video, we will cover the S2 series as well as the bolt-on series, which are also made in USA. Keep watching.